Hi, and welcome or welcome back. My name is Kodiak, and you are returning or coming for the first time to my vanilla Let's Play series. I'm going to put this game on pause, and I'm coming right into this after recording last episode, seconds as a matter of fact, and we're just going to start getting back into the game. Last episode, we expanded a bit more. I kind of explained how heat maps work. We added some more power, something that we're definitely going to have to be fighting and adding more of this episode. That's going to be my first goal, is to get enough money for that. So we're going to play on 3 times speed. As long as you're making money, feel free to just let the game run. Who cares what year it is, how long you've taken your city to build. If you care, make sure you pause often. Really be wise and short. Otherwise, feel free to expand as wide as you can. And just sit and enjoy the ride. So, this episode, I'm gonna be explaining to you guys the things that we unlocked at the end of the last episode. We're getting really close to the next milestone too. So you'll start to see how quickly once you get everything started in the beginning and you hit those first 2 milestones, you'll really kind of roll very rapidly into the next 3 or 4. And then you'll start to hit a slowdown when you start to run out of space. And depending on the map you build, you'll really start to feel it. Every map kind of has a different amount of population. So like there's an island map that the population goals are actually slightly different than some of the other maps. So everything is kind of based on the map that you have and how much buildable land there is. So just keep all that in mind. But we've unlocked some really cool things. So we have unlocked from Worthy Village a new tile, so we can buy another tile. We're not going to do that yet. We have no reason to. Now you can if you really feel like you're cramped on the map you're playing on. The map I'm playing on, I feel like I have tons of room to build and expand over here. I don't really feel the need to build out anymore. We've unlocked districts, we've unlocked policies, we've unlocked the agricultural specialization, which is great. We're going to utilize that here in a moment. That is something we are going to focus on today, is the agricultural specialization. We're going to be creating some farms. We unlocked the police and fire station, which we built. These are some new policies that we unlocked, which we will go over. We've unlocked unique buildings, which I will take a look at, district specializations, and service policies. So, and here's some of the unique buildings that we've looked at, or we've unlocked. So, let's take a look. So, we can click into the unique buildings. We cannot build any of them because we do not have enough money. So, we're not going to really look at these ones for right now. We are going to look at the level 1 unique buildings. So, unique buildings, there are usually, in the vanilla game at least, there's 5. And each one attributes to a monument, which we don't get monuments until 60,000. Each unique building attributes to 1. So for instance, the Statue of Industry, which is my personal favorite of the first 3. Having a booming industry allows you to build a statue to commemorate this great time in history of the city. It's a requirement for building the Eden Project. The Eden Project is a monument. The Eden Project helps reduce almost all pollution on the map, I think. If I'm wrong, I'll put a correction on screen. We have another one here, the Statue of Wealth, the Space Elevator, and that is going to help for tourism. And you can build all these different monuments, right? The Medical Center, the Hadron Collider, the Fusion Power Plant. And so the Fusion Power Plant provides tons of power. And you can place these, and these function as parks, which we haven't unlocked yet. So this is your first real taste into parks, is these monuments. Now, we're not going to build these yet. They're a little expensive. They're a lot more expensive than regular parks, and we just honestly don't need them right. And there's some of them that are going to be locked that are locked behind different goals. Like you have to have a certain percentage of your citizens sick. It's very strange how they're set up. And honestly, monuments are really not that essential, but if you want to unlock them, there are ways to do it, and that's how you do it. So that's what we unlocked there. We've also unlocked districts, and we are going to utilize the districts. So first off, remember this farming area. We're going to paint a district over it, and this is I'm going to show you guys what districts are. So we're going to take all this farming area. Let's even go to our info views, and I'm going to delete this, as a matter of fact, and we're going to look at all this farm land, fertile land, right? We are going to paint over it. Even though we have all of this industry over top of it, we're going to replace all the industry that's in this area with farming. Now, not all this land will end up being used for farming. Heck, this might end up being a residential area over here at some point. However, if we want any industry that's built over here, I want to make sure this whole grid is like this. Then every bit of factory over here we want to turn into agricultural land or agricultural factories, because there's different types of factories in this game. So let's go into the districts, and if we click up here, industrial specialization, and now we can specialize how we want these districts to be. There, you'll have other tabs. You have some of the other DLCs that usually are related to commercial. Maybe there's some residential too, but this is generic industry. So this is what it is currently. It's basically the clear all. You can set it to be farming, and if you notice where the district name is, there'll be a little tractor. Or you can set it to lumber. You can't set multiple, so just keep that in mind, or you can clear it. So we want this area to be farming. Now, something to keep in mind is that factories, generic factories, will produce goods. These generic factories utilize resources from these industrial specializations. So a food factory would require farming industry items. A furniture factory would require lumber. A furniture factory might also require some ore to make maybe like hinges or screws, right? An oil industry would be good for plastics. Like, let's say you're trying to make plastic, like Lunchables. It's trying to say to make Lunchables. You need the plastic to make the container for the Lunchable, and then you need the farming to make the food for the Lunchable, right? So, our factories are importing multiple different types of goods. So if your city can produce all those goods, then you don't need to worry about your outside connections, and you can just worry about your inside connections because they'll buy locally. This can be seen from the outside connections tab. And if we click on it, this is something really cool that will help you if you are really struggling with your traffic. You can see, okay, I have all of these here. We'll exit out of that because that was overlaying. You can just, if you hit escape a bunch, it'll clear everything, and then you can go through it if there's ever an issue like we just had. And you can notice that these buildings are highlighted in blue. That means, and we're on the import tab, and then we're on the export tab. So that means that these buildings right here are importing ore products, and this building, which is black, is importing oil products, right? Nothing else is importing right now. So they're just producing goods. Maybe they've already imported and they're not importing anything else. Notice how the pie chart is actually built up a little bit bigger. So there might have been some of these other buildings that were calling for lumber. But notice how agricultural products, they're calling for a lot of agricultural products. So if we can build agricultural land over here, our factories will call for that. However, we're going to end up destroying all of these factories and building farmland. And it's okay that there's pollution underneath. It'll slowly go away. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. You can notice that export products, we're exporting exclusively goods because we're not producing agricultural products or ore products. And sometimes you will export all that stuff outside the city. So something that's a really cool chart to look at because it'll help you kind of understand, okay, what do I need more of? So, well, anyways, we are going to build a bit more farmland. And so all these factories are going to go bye-bye, right? They're all going to go bye-bye. We are going to change how the power connects in because we have the dump over here. The dump is going to be a permanent fixture over here. When you place a building like the dump, I should have been a bit more mindful in educating you on where to place your dump, because your dump cannot be moved once it has trash in it. You have to empty the building by clicking empty building to another facility, and you have to have another facility to empty the garbage to, unless you have mods, of course. So now that it has 11% full, I cannot move this dump. I would have to build another dump, empty this building, and then once it's emptied, I could move it or destroy it. Otherwise, it is a permanent fixture in the city now. So we're gonna have to deal with this in our agricultural area, which is good because this is a good learning point. So you guys understand, okay, if you do make a mistake, it's okay. We can work around it. So all these factories are going to go away, and we're going to start building farmland. And the power from the electric grid should connect everything up just fine. So all that starts over there. And and that should be a-okay. Notice how there's pollution on the ground. Again, that will go away. Everything will be fine. We are going to create another district. We're going to have lumber right here. Forest Hills, perfect name. Name of a real life neighborhood in Grand Rapids, where I live. It's very funny. So that will be our lumber area. And we've designated it the lumber area because there's lots of trees over here. And we can artificially create a lumber area by placing trees once we unlock the landscaping tab. However, we don't have that because that will be unlocked at the next level. Don't worry about that for now. I'm gonna build that road out. Not enough money. Actually losing money because I stupidly destroyed everything. That's fine. Again, learning point. Make sure you have enough money before you destroy all your factories. We're gonna zone some residential over here. We need more industrial. Those will pop up very quickly. Put some more over there. We're making money again. You ever getting panicked at how much money you're losing? Just pause the game, figure out what you need to zone more of. You have the spots on the roads, zone it. Build some more roads in different areas, zone that, then you're fine. Our water availability is getting a little low. Remember, we had that set at 50%. Let's bump that up to 75%. That'll eat into our budget, but we'll get a lot of water back out of it. I believe these farm buildings actually use a lot less power as well. And we've hit Tiny Town as well because we zoned more land, and that will give us a cash infusion, injection. We'll get a lot more money. We've unlocked the landscaping tab, which we will go over. We've unlocked event policies, which we haven't really gone over district policies just yet. We will though. Parks and plazas, more unique buildings. And then new policies. We've also unlocked some new roads, which this 4-lane road will be really helpful to us because we are going to utilize it because we've already built our city in a way that needs it. I'm going to show you why. We've also unlocked our parks, which are going to help us upgrade our buildings, provide our citizens with services that they want. We unlocked high school, public library. Public library is a really cool building. I wish there was more options in the game. I feel like well, I'll show you guys. It's way too big. It is way too big. I don't know if everyone's public library is just massive and takes up a ton of space, but one in my hometown that I grew up in was very small, and it did the job. And I don't really feel like the public library needs to take up like 10 homes worth of sizes, but you'll see what I'm talking about. But the public library is really cool because it will provide your citizens with education. And if, like, let's say you have a high school educated person and they go to the public library, there's a chance they could be upgraded to a college educated person without even having a college. So public libraries are super helpful. A newer addition to the game. So they're very cool. Also farms, just keep in mind when we look at farmland, it's almost all uneducated workers. So if you have like an elementary school, let's say, if we wanted to keep our citizens dumb and not build an elementary school, first off, our buildings would not upgrade. Notice how our commercial is starting to get upgraded, right? Our residential is also starting to get upgraded. The requirement is to educate more citizens to be upgraded and to have specific services. Commercial really wants more services. Increase the land value here. These guys want to attract wealthier customers. Wealthier customers come with education. However, our farmland mostly wants uneducated workers. Factories and offices like educated workers. So, especially offices. So something to keep in mind when building and zoning. Now, we are gonna build some forestry. Yay, forestry. Now, if we look at our natural resources, you'll notice that the forestry isn't very strong over here, even though there's lots of trees. If you go to some other areas on the map, like way down over here, you'll notice that it's a bit thicker on the ground. It's kind of hard to see because the camera locks here, but notice how it's really thick down over here, even though there's a bit more trees over here. There's just a lot of rocks and stuff. So something we can do is artificially create that. Now that we've unlocked the landscaping tab, we can smooth and change the height of the ground, which can help with these nasty little jagged edges that we get sometimes, like over here, you know. If we wanted to, we could smooth that out. Ooh, I didn't like that. Smooth tab. I'll explain what I did here in a second. So notice how we smooth that out now, and you don't have any more of those jagged edges. There's lots of different options in the brush tools. So you have different sizes down over here and different strengths. So if you really aggressively wanted to smooth it, you can do that. Notice how much easier it's going with the bigger tool and the harder brush. So we have walking paths. Walking paths are super awesome and helpful for getting people from point A to point B without needing to jump in their car. They can ride them on their bikes, things of that nature. We also have trees, and this is what I'm getting to. We can manually place trees, and if we manually place trees and create a manual forest, it costs money. It costs 10 per tree, right? 10 per bush, 10 per everything, right? 10. We also have these, I'll explain the differences between these two tree tabs in a moment, but we can place these trees down, and if we do it in the resource view, you'll notice that it starts to get darker on the ground. And why does it start to get darker on the ground? Because we're creating a lumber area. This is the only resource in the game that you can do this with. So, keep that in mind, that you can, as long as you got the cash, do that. Now, keep in mind though, that if you build this lumber area over the farm area, you will actually remove the fertile ground. So, don't build trees near the farmland if you don't want to remove the farmland that's there. So just keep that in mind. So we are going to pack in some conifers into this area. There were some other trees in this area as well, like oaks. And variety is pretty realistic to real life in real forests, so keep that in mind. Notice that sometimes it goes away and sometimes it shows back up. If you just keep placing them, it'll just get denser. I'm not really too sure why it does that, but as you can see now, this area is definitely a lumber area, very dense. You can make it as dense as you like, really. That's how green it gets. So there we go. Now we have a ton of trees in here, and that will create a lumber district. Just keep in mind too that sometimes placing a bunch of trees can actually, I think it can reduce the wind speed. Terrain height does. So when you are terraforming using this tool, just notice how it's like a lip here and it's like higher ground. That's why the wind speed's so good, because it's the highest ground in the area. So just keep that in mind when terraforming, that you don't want to, if you have wind turbines, you don't want to disrupt that. So there's two different types of tree tabs. One of them is a content creator tree pack. This is a free pack that was released, I believe, with Airports DLC. These trees are made by Mr. Mason, who is very well known for making trees on the workshop. Cities Skylines even used to do a little documentary series about some of their content creators and asset creators and modders. And Mr. Mason was featured in one of them. Is a great video. I will link it below. He makes a lot of trees that are on the workshop, and he made some of these trees that they decided to add into the base game. And they are very cool and much nicer than some of the original game assets. Like very highly detailed for vanilla assets. So this is a horse chestnut. He has a wonderful fall horse chestnut that I use all the time in my fall build that I like to build. So very cool. Love Mr. Mason. We also have vegetation. These little bushes can be great for hiding cliffs and stuff if you don't want to see them. Lots of different options there. You can add rocks, lots of different types of rocks, crazy rocks. And you can build canals and flood walls, and keys. Notice how we have our first lumber building right here. So it is growing some trees. Notice how it's all uneducated workers. The agriculture and lumber industries are almost all exclusively for uneducated workers. These buildings also do not upgrade. Notice how they're at just highest level. So regular factories will have different levels though. So just keep that in mind. We are gonna build some normal factories to utilize all of these resources that we just made. I'm going to rebuild this road so that way look out on me. And this is not gonna be in a district. So we are going to leave our farming for here. And we are going to pull this out from being a district. And you know, the places don't have to be a district, but you can make them one if you really want to. You can get as crazy as you want with these. You could literally just district, like if I just wanted to name the center of this roundabout, I could just zone a district there. Not even worry about it. Nobody has to live there. Anything of that sort at all. That's pretty cool. So I keep talking about these districts and how to utilize them, but there's a lot more you can do with them. So let's go into Linden Park. So we can click on Linden Park and it tells us a lot of details about it. The types of buildings that are in there, the average level of the building as well. So the average level is a single fully maxed. Zone distribution, almost exclusively yellow here. We go over here, we hit play, wait for it to update. There we go. You can notice it tells us a little bit of details about that district. We have 99 children that live there. We have 1,001 people. We have 248 households. One of them is empty. We have a certain number of workers, tourists that go there, our zone distribution, adults, seniors, a pie chart. You can also have different district styles. I have them disabled, however, which we talked over in the first episode. However, you can have those enabled. And you can select, oh, I want this to be European themed or something of that nature. We click on policies here. It opens up this tab. This is the policies tab. If you were to open this tab without clicking on the district, when you apply one of these policies, it will be citywide. Notice how I hit the smoking ban. Every single district has it now. And when we remove it, none of them have it. However, if we were to click on policies on just Barlow Heights and click on the smoking ban, only Barlow Heights has it. None of the other ones do. And you can see them down here below. Each one does kind of its own thing. You can choose to use them how you see fit. Sometimes they can be interesting little challenges that might make people might be lore friendly to you if you want to get invested in your city and create something that you really like and enjoy. Like let's say you are anti-smoking, you want to create a smoke-free city, you can do that. However, it will increase your health of your citizens, which would be great, but it will decrease overall happiness because they will feel restricted in their freedoms. So something to keep in mind when you enable these policies, that there's a lot of times a negative effect to it, and a lot of times it's money based. So water usage and power usage you can enable if you're really struggling with water or power. Smoke detector distribution will reduce the amount of fires that are produced. If you're struggling with fires, that might be really helpful for you. And there is lots of other options, and with every DLC pack they add a bunch of other ones. So, and as you play the game more, you'll unlock more. We're not going to enable any because there's really nothing that we need to enable right now. But just so you guys know, that's how that is. And you can rename them by clicking up top here. And if we want to rename this one, like Industrial Park, that's now the Industrial Park. So we're still struggling on power. We have enough money now. Let's build another wind turbine down here. Might invest in the coal power plant soon, just so that way we don't have to worry about it too much. I'm sure we had a little bit more in terms of water. I think still we do. That's great. We haven't built the industrial tile here yet. Let's get up a little power line out because we know this building's not gonna have power right away. Sometimes when building across the roads, it tries to build the middle point because the power line needs an extra structure to hold it up. It'll try to build it over the road. Just place it where you want it, the middle point to be, and then build the second one like that. That'll solve that problem for you. So we have a pretty high demand for residential. This is how you really run away from yourself and hit those milestones. The game just tells you it wants residential. And we'll start unlocking more and more and more, and pre-made intersections, different types of roads, buses, a new wind turbine, cemetery. We're not there yet. But when we do get there, that's when we'll probably end the episode. But we're not there yet. So now we can kind of just hit fast forward. We've already kind of zoned out a lot of our roads last episode. If you hadn't done that yet, you could maybe use this time for that. As we build more on these roads, you'll start to see our weekly income go up more and more and more as we start to zone on all of these roads. Once you start feeling your money is in a really good spot, if you notice the cost by hovering over the 2-lane gravel road, cost 0.19 per week. You could start upgrading to regular 2-lane roads, which will double your upkeep for the roads, but honestly, your upkeep is not that much. You could probably honestly start converting everything from dirt roads at this point to paved roads if you really want to. Cost a little bit of money to do the upgrade, and then of course it will cost more in investment. So now we have built our first factory, Frank's Fish Stick Factory. And if this actually is importing agricultural goods, it will pull from our local farms as well, which will reduce incoming outside traffic, which is great. Now notice we do not have enough workers. They are begging for workers. We're running out of power as well. All very unfortunate stuff. So let's start zoning more residential. Make sure that we have water running out over here. And then I feel like I should save up for the coal power plant. The coal power plant produces 40 megawatts of power, whereas the maximum that the wind turbines produce, these three, are only producing about 24 megawatts of power. This would produce 40 megawatts of power. However, it's going to be polluted. It's going to pollute. So we're going to want to put that down over here. Take a bit of a drink while we're waiting. Just kind of enjoy the game. Enjoy the beauty. Get to know your citizens again. Zoom back in. Start to take a look at traffic, how intersections are working. Decide whether or not you want stop signs, traffic lights, depending on how traffic is flowing. Now, earlier we unlocked that 4-lane road. That 4-lane road we unlocked was not this big 4-lane road. It was this small 4-lane road. And this small 4-lane road is great. If at any point in time you decide, man, this should have more length. This should be a higher density road. You realize all the traffic wants to take it. It's in the perfect spot to be a collector road. Remember, these are your local roads in here. These roads that take you in and out to your arterial roads right here are collector roads. So this is this road right here would be a collector road. It's the road that you take to get into the local roads, right? And then this is your arterial road that's going to take you to your highway, right? Not all highways have arterial roads. Everything's zoned slightly different, but that's kind of the gist of it. There's a really good video from City Planner Plays, who's a real life city planner who plays Cities Skylines, which I will link below, that kind of explains road hierarchy in that manner. So, anywho, I'm going to upgrade this to a 4-lane road because I feel like having those extra lanes will be really helpful. If this traffic just wants to come on through, they can go into these 2 lanes, and we don't have to increase the size of the road to do it. All that does is it kind of shortens the, makes the actual road lanes a bit more narrow. Give traffic more options as well. What I really want here, actually, is an asymmetrical road, but we don't have that unlocked yet. So I'm going to run with the 4-lane roads, and we'll see those later. That's where one side is a 1-lane and the other side is a 2-lane. That's what I really want. Really struggling with power over here. But that won't be a big deal for too much longer. If you really wanted to save money, min-max the most, you could reduce the power lines. The upkeep is not really that much though. At the end of the day, your power lines are not really eating that much money from you. However, if you really wanted to min-max everything, you can totally reduce any of them that you want. So notice how these ones are red and these ones are white. Red means they will probably move out, abandon their structure. Something bad will happen if you don't address this problem. They're really screaming at you that this needs to be fixed. This is more like a warning, like, hey, we don't have power. And here they're like, hey, we haven't had power in like a month. So we need to address that problem pretty rapidly, and we will as soon as we get this. And maybe we'll even see a building, like a building go abandoned, so you guys can actually see what that looks like. We might not. We'll try to solve the problem, but if we can't, then we can't. I could increase the budget, but I kind of want to show you guys what happens when a building gets broken down. Notice this building just upgraded over here. So when these buildings upgrade, their homes get a little nicer. More people move in. Usually higher educated people as well. Over here, we're having not enough educated workers. There's not enough people who are educated to work in the well-educated job slots, and they don't like that. So in order to solve that problem, we obviously have enough elementary schools. We could build a high school, which we have unlocked too, but we don't have enough money for that too. That's why I say people go bankrupt in this game pretty frequently, because it is sometimes a little bit of a challenge to deal with the money. And we probably could have dealt with the money a little bit better. However, I really wanted to plan out these roads. Here we go. Here's our first abandoned building. Something happened to cause this building be abandoned. Building is abandoned because worker education was too low. So we really need to get on building that high school. Now you can destroy these if you want. I believe they will just rebuild on their own once zoning is needed. So once they want to build a new structure, somebody will just move in, tear down the building. However, abandoned buildings, especially destroyed buildings from the Natural Disasters DLC, look awful to people. They don't like it. They don't like the way it looks. So you can destroy them manually like this if you want to. And then maybe something will move back in here. So here we are. We got lots of services. Everything's kind of going up now. We have enough power. We probably have plenty of power too. We have it at 100%. I'm going to leave it at 100%. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to reduce it to 80. I think 80 will be plenty. Let's take a look, because remember, this is like more than 4 wind turbines, and we only had 3. So just keep that in mind. So we'll reduce that to 40 or 80%. And as you can see, we don't have any power issues anymore. So we're going to save up some money, and we're going to build that high school. Our next milestone will be Boomtown when we get it. I'm trying to avoid zoning in here because eventually we will make this into a park, and I kind of don't want houses here. I'm planning ahead. I'm thinking ahead. Remember, we're not zoning on this road. We could start building some roads up this direction. I'll start getting some of those homes in, and then once we have the money, we'll build that high school. And we should be on the fast track now to Boomtown. We just owned a lot of land. As our city begins to expand, something that we need to pay attention to is our traffic flow. And if we look at our info maps, we've unlocked quite a few new info maps. We've unlocked terrain heights, so we can actually view the terrain. Really cool map. I really like using this for figuring out, okay, where's terrain? How do I want to build neighborhoods? Sometimes I might want to leave the slope area completely left alone. And I might put some trees in here, make a forest, and then build a neighborhood here, and then build a neighborhood here in the flat areas to make the area look a bit more natural, like we built along the flat shelves, because a lot of times you won't see neighborhoods built on sharp angles unless you're in like San Francisco or something like that. And you can separate it using a tree line, and it'll make your city feel really natural. There's some other really great heat maps. We have land value. Land value is going to be really important for upgrading buildings. So when you're trying to get your buildings to upgrade and you want to click in and figure out what's the problem, they need land value. Here you can see the land value. Water will increase land value. Parks, city services like bus stops, things like that will all increase land value. So factories, things like that will decrease it, dump, all that stuff. So important to keep in mind. That's why all the coastal areas here have high land value. We have the health map. Let's take a look here. What other map would be really important? Traffic. Traffic is a great heat map. Info, layer view, whatever they're called in game. I'm going to continue to call them heat maps. It's a great one to look at because you really want to pay attention to your traffic flow. Your average traffic flow is 94%, which is great. That's what you want. Above 90% is fantastic. It's flipping fantastic. If you got above 90% traffic flow, don't even worry about your traffic flow. If you are below 80%, however, you got a problem. There is probably 1 or 2 intersections that's an issue, and if you're below 70%, you're in some trouble. That traffic can eventually get so bad where places aren't getting goods, workers aren't showing up to work, and buildings will start shutting down, and you will start having some real logistical issues in your city. So in order to combat that, this info view will really help tell you which intersections are the most used. And these intersections right here and this road are all well trafficked. And we know that because we've built it in a way so they are well trafficked. But they're well trafficked in a way that's really efficient. So don't worry about getting 100% traffic flow. It's not important. This traffic is flowing. It's flowing smoothly, and that's what we want. Nobody's getting in each other's way. The heavy traffic flow isn't causing noise pollution in residential areas, so it's not really of our concern. 94% is a great percentage, and you want to make sure that you're above 90%, or at least above, or at least in the high 80s. And if you're not, you might need to do some reorganizing of your roads. Whenever you build residential areas, you'll get a surge of traffic of people moving in. So that huge conga line of cars that we just had, those are all new residents that are going to be moving into these homes. So don't think that, oh my God, my traffic's actually getting out of control. No, it's just a surge of new vehicles. So we actually have a demand for some more industrial, and we're going to build our regular industrial. So let's do that. Build some of that. Obviously, that'll bring in some money as well. The high school is 24,000, and we hit Boomtown as well. So we are going to place the high school, and that is where we're going to end it. And we will go over all of this stuff in the next episode. I'm going to upload the last episode, episode 2, before I record episode 4. So if you guys had any questions, I will go over that in that episode as well. And we will start by going over everything we've unlocked in this Boomtown milestone. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, things that aren't clear, please don't hesitate to let me know. I want to make this the best series I can possibly make it. So anything that can help clear things up, please put it in the comments, or maybe somebody else has commented on it and you can find it there, and I'll address it in a later episode. So I just want to thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys are really enjoying. I think this city is gonna kind of grow up really nice, and we're gonna start expanding into new tiles come a few episodes. I'm really excited to build on this island. I think this could be a really cool and fun high density island. In a couple episodes, I think right around the time we've probably hit maybe big town or small city, we'll start introducing, I think small city, we'll probably start introducing some DLCs, because we're gonna unlock the train station. And if you don't have the DLCs, that's totally fine. You will have all the techniques, and you'll have kind of all of the knowledge at that point to understand how to implement some of those features as I explain them with DLC enabled. So we're going to start slowly introducing DLC as we hit that small city milestone. So until then, this is going to remain completely vanilla. And I hope that any console players or anyone else that's doesn't maybe have some of the DLCs is really getting a lot of benefit out of this, that maybe they aren't in some other tutorial series that focus on using some of those other DLCs to create really cool things, because the DLCs are really cool, and so are mods, and this game's just great. I really hope you guys are enjoying it. All right, click on some of the videos that are on the screen, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.